Okay, the Food and Drug Administration announced a recall of 9 lots of pet food after the deaths of more than 25 dogs. Midwestern Pet Foods issued a voluntary recall of 9 lots of its sport mix pet food after testing done by the Missouri Department of Agriculture found that it contained very high levels of aflatoxin, which in sufficient amounts can cause illness and deaths in pets. The FDA said they are aware of at least 28 deaths and 8 illnesses in dogs that ate the food. Now, pets affected by aflatoxin poisoning can experience symptoms such as sluggishness, loss of appetite, vomiting, the agency is saying. Now, also, consumers with affected products should contact Midwestern Pet Foods Consumer Affairs at 800-474-4163. Now, I'm not a dog mom.
I'm a dog mom.
I know you're
I'm
a dog mom.
dad.
I'm almost a dog mom. And so this is really sad because, like, a lot of people I know, you lose dogs to old age and illness and things like that.
Demi.
But to lose a dog to pet food?
I wish we could put a picture up right now of my
Daisy?
Daisy. I would die.
Yeah.
If this happened to her.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be inconsolable. Y'all would never see me again.
Ever?
I'd be on the floor. Well, I don't
like
know.
that?
No,
okay,
losing a dog is.
Yeah.
It's like she's
deeply
my child.
painful.
Yeah.
And it's it's like, and not that comparing it to losing family members. Obviously, we're not talking about human beings, but there's something about a dog that is constantly with you. They're in there when you go to the bathroom. Like, they're constantly with you, and so losing a dog is like surprisingly tragic.
Yeah. My dog was literally with me when I was recovering from my near-death car accident. My dog was with me when my mom got sick and then passed away. I don't know what I would do if I lost my dog, especially to a situation like that. So I'm glad for the recall.
Yeah.
I've had to put one down before, and it's the hardest thing to do. And on top of that, I had a friend that lives in Missouri. I call and say, yo, are you using this food? Because he just got 2 new dogs. I'm like, make sure you check out what you feed your dogs, all right? Target is recalling a combined 480,000 units of infant rompers and swimsuits for infants and toddlers. Both recalls were announced by the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission and Target. The retailer has received 16 reports of the snaps on Cloud Island rompers breaking, detaching, or missing, including 1 report of scratches and 1 report of a child being pinched, according to the Safety Commission. The baby rompers being recalled include the Cloud Island Waterfront Baby Boutique Rompers, Cloud Island Little Peanut and True Navy Rompers, Cloud Island Little Wildflower and Joyful Mint Rompers, Cloud Island Old Honeybee and Pink Rompers, and Cloud Island Floral Fields and Mint Rompers. The rompers were sold in the sizes from newborn all the way to 12 months, and approximately 299,000 rompers in total were recalled. Consumers with affected products should immediately take the recall items away from children. They can be returned to any Target store for a full refund. Customers with general questions can also reach them by calling Target at 800-440-0680. Once again, that number is 800-440-0680. And we're talking about the holidays here, so you may have received a gift like this or sent one out, so make sure you double check with your loved ones. And I'm hearing, you know, some people have policies due to COVID-19 where you can't return something right away. In this case, you definitely can. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, my sister's having a baby.
Oh, seriously?
Literally Wednesday. She's having a baby Wednesday. So I text her and I was like, yo, did y'all have any of this stuff? Like, I don't want my guy to get pinched.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Don't put that on the list.
Right.
Okay.
I was like, double check.
Soulmates, make sure you go ahead and call if you do have that. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
please do.
Absolutely. All right, moving right along. A New York resident has filed a class action lawsuit against King's Hawaiian. The reason for the lawsuit? Because the rolls aren't actually made in Hawaii. Robert Galinsky claims that he was misled into buying the rolls, Hawaii News Now reports. King's Hawaiian says on its website that its mouth-watering tale begins in the 1950s in Hilo, where Robert Terra opened the bake shop Robert's Bakery. In 1977, a 24,000-square-foot bakery was built in Torrance, California, where Terra bestowed the new venture with the name we all know today, King's Hawaiian Bakery. Galinsky notes that the back of the label indicates the product is made in California, but the front of the packaging features Hilo, Hawaii, which could make people think that the bread was made there. King's Hawaiian is the leading seller of Hawaiian rolls and essentially invented this category of
Absolutely.
food. Okay, you guys, the U.S. is the most litigious country in the entire world. But even, come on, dude. I mean, I just want to know, this class action lawsuit, does it actually cost him money to file this? Like, what's he hoping for?
First of all, the rolls are amazing.
First of all, the rolls are so
My
good.
go-to rolls. Let's be careful,
Those
especially for
rolls, I
holidays.
mean, they don't have to be heated up if you don't want. They just taste good any kind of way.
taking a bite,
This company has been around for 70 years. It's like the recipe was from 1950, so it's not like they're like, I'm sure they're using the same recipe, it's just made it in a different place. Like, this guy needs to take a break.
Who cares where
Really, who cares?
Like, who cares
Yes.
where the rolls
is
are
crazy.
made?
Can I tell you that I care? Because when I saw this story, I learned that the factory is actually in Southern California, and
Yes,
as
it is.
soon as COVID is over, I want to do a tour.
Yes.
I want to see how it's made.
I love that. There is.
So now I've realized
Look.
I care because it's close to us, and I want to. I want to be in
Soulmates,
there.
don't do this. Every
definitely-
piece of Kentucky Fried Chicken is not made in Kentucky. Okay, that's all I'm just
No,
saying.
that is
That's
exactly
all
what I
I'm
was going to
saying.
say. Companies that have franchises literally do this
Come
all
on
the
now.
time. Like, we have Chicago, we have a restaurant that we love called Harold's Chicken,
Yeah.
and there's a Harold's in Hollywood, California.
Have you
like,
been? Is it the same?
absolutely, I have been. It is. I have been. But my point
Wow, she being nice.
Here's my point, okay?
Yes.
Is that it's the same recipe. It's not from Chicago. It's not,
Right.
it's made here in LA, but it's the same recipe. Like, relax. We don't need anything
Makes
happening
sense.
with these Hawaiian rolls.
I'm
okay?
all
You
for
know
these
we like
rolls.
The rolls
to
and
sue
just
here
go ahead,
in
go
the
sit
United
down.
We
States.
do like to
All right.
sue.
All right, today in Black history, the first Black woman elected to Congress from Wisconsin took office on this day back in 2005. Congresswoman Gwendolyn Sophia Moore has been a representative for Wisconsin's 4th Congressional District since that day. Moore was also the first Black woman to be elected to the upper chamber of the Wisconsin legislature. Opera singer Grace Bumbry was born on this day in 1937. She's considered one of the leading mezzo-sopranos of her generation and turns 84. Also today, we remember Floyd Patterson, who was born in 1935. Patterson was a professional boxer who competed from 1952 to 1972. He was the first to hold the World Heavyweight Championship twice. He became the youngest boxer in history to win the title at just 21 years old. He died back on May 11th, 2006.
Quick shout out to all of our YouTube soulmates. Once again, you guys have so much to talk about and I absolutely love it. So Be It One says, I am tired of all this violence. Can we get it together? Kim says, oh no, poor doggies. And I know she's feeling just like how Melissa and Romeo are feeling. And then another YouTube soulmate says, all right, Melissa's about to drop that knowledge. You know, Melissa comes with the facts. Okay. Now our soulmates are so lit. I just love every time shouting you guys out. Keep the comments coming. And if you think we have fun on YouTube, be sure to follow us on our Instagram, our Twitter, our Facebook platforms, all at Fox Soul, because the conversation never stops.
City officials in Kenosha, Wisconsin are bracing for potential unrest when a local prosecutor announces whether a white cop will be charged in the case of Jacob Blake. A black man left paralyzed when officers shot him 7 times in the back. The Kenosha City Council is due this week to vote on an emergency declaration to prepare for potential civil unrest if DA Michael Gravely opts not to charge police officer Rustin Shesky in the August 23rd shooting, the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel said. Gravely is due to announce his decision within the next 2 weeks, the newspaper has said. Now, we all know what happened on that day, August 23rd. 7 times in the back, trying to get into his vehicle. Kids were in the car, right? And then they did say later, suppose they found a knife, but obviously he didn't even have time to reach for that because his officer had already just pulled the trigger 7 times, right? And then on top of that, this officer he has a past. He's been the subject of 5 international investigations since joining the department in 2013. So this officer is not a good cop from what people are saying.
It's interesting also, I think, how the city is preparing for protesting. Because, we say all the time, like, protest, it's your constitutional right.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and I saw, they're limiting city bus routes. Also, there's going to be curfews and closing down different roads. And then you think the last time there were big protests, 2 people lost their life.
Yeah.
And a teenager is now facing charges based on this. So I guess they have an example of what they need to prepare for.
Yeah, the governor's already enacted the National Guard. So they're prepared for protesting, and it's scary.
Yeah.
But doesn't that make you upset knowing the fact that preparing, we may not get what we want, what we feel should happen in this situation, right?
Yeah.
we'll definitely keep you posted on the soulmates.
Absolutely. Well, in the final hours of 2020, Governor J.B. Pritzker announced that about 500,000 marijuana convictions have been pardoned or wiped from the records in Illinois. That forgiveness is part of the state law that legalized pot sales last year. Over 9,200 low-level marijuana convictions have been pardoned, and more than 490,000 marijuana-related convictions are now removed from arrest records. There's a few other states that are following suit with this. New Jersey, Nevada, Washington State, and also Colorado are following suit. It needs to hurry up.
You have to do that, though, right? In this case, don't you feel like you have to do that?
Yeah.
You would think so.
There's people who are making millions and millions and millions of dollars off of marijuana sales just because we found a way to tax it.
Yeah.
And there's people languishing in jail, with like exorbitant prison sentences for something that's, that's considered an essential business at this point.
That's true.
Well, I think this is really great for Illinois, and I like how, more importantly, he acknowledged that convictions like these mainly happen in communities of color. Yes. He tweeted earlier today, "We will never be able to fully remedy the depth of the damage in communities of color. We have disproportionately shouldered this burden, but we can govern with the courage to admit the mistakes of our past and the decency to set a better path forward." So I like that he is acknowledging that things like this happen in communities of color, and they're trying to, take the necessary steps to make sure it doesn't happen going forward in the future.
I love that you brought that up. I was going to read that exact same tweet.
So is
I think it's so it is so important because that's really what this is about. It's not necessarily just old drug charges. It's about the fact that this changes lives and this has harmed lives, and now we realize that we were wrong about that. We have to go back and fix what we did to a whole bunch of black people.
And the war on drugs was an epic failure and a complete fraud, but that's a whole other story.
Facts. All right, guys. Now, moving forward, Dr. Anthony Fauci said it's possible that COVID-19 vaccines will become mandatory in order to travel to other countries or even attend school. Dr. Fauci will be the chief medical advisor to President-elect Joe Biden. He told Newsweek everything will be on the table for discussion. The director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases stressed that it is not up to me to make a decision, but added, these are all things that will be discussed. Fauci said vaccine requirements in schools are possible, but they would come from mandates at the state or the city level. Dr. Fauci also said in a statement, a citywide school system might require it in some cities, but not in other cities. And that's what I mean by things not being done centrally, but locally. In regards to travel, Fauci added that the U.S. could potentially issue COVID-19 vaccine passports. Now, the coronavirus vaccine might also become required by other countries for entry. I know Melissa is itching. She's itching right now to say, I told you guys that this was going to happen. But I just wanted to add this one piece. This kind of reminds me of like when you had to go to school and you have to get your shots, like hepatitis and things like that. Yeah. It feels like it's going to be like how, Romeo and I have been like on the edge of our seats. Yeah. Romeo, it seems like we might not have a chance to the option. Like I can't go, to Mexico.
If they're going to do that, though, they got to make it available for everyone for free or figure out how it can get paid for if they're trying to force it upon us. Because that's what I kind of feel like might be happening. Yeah. Because what about the people that still don't want to take it? Now we're stuck. We can't travel.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I knew that this was going to happen. I know that there's going to be certain countries that do not allow international travelers to come past their borders unless you prove that you have that vaccination. That's number one. And number two, there's going to be a ton of companies that mandate that in order for you to physically come into work, you're going to have to take the vaccination. It's just going to be a part of our reality moving forward. The normalcy that we recognize as pre-pandemic, it's gone forever.
Yeah. But this is normal, I think, because flying internationally, depending on where you go, you may have to have shots before you go.
Yes.
We know about at schools, just like Debbie mentioned, there are a list of shots that still to this day you have to get. We're not going to eradicate this.
Yeah.
This is always going to be around. And people find exemptions to that. They're not everybody in elementary school with you has had all their shots.
True.
Because of different reasons. But this is normal. This is just another disease that is easily spread that everybody's going to have to take different steps to protect ourselves for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
Well, the one other thing, this is like a random little point, like for the people that don't want to take the vaccine, right? I feel like there's going to be a large influx of like fake vaccine cards and passport. Like, I feel like that's a whole new level of things that might happen, because there are some people that are not going to get it, and they're going to still try to get that travel legally. Yeah, it's going to be a new, totally new market opening up. So quick shout out to our YouTube, our Instagram, our Facebook, soulmates. We love you guys. A couple of comments I just want to shout out. So Be It One says, Georgians really need to get out and vote like our lives depend on it. And they do. And then also Jesse from ATL said, I voted. So we love to see it.